Love it or hate it, the status of Ontario's capital city in the world is undeniably on an upward trajectory. Brian Brock might know a thing or two about what made that happen, and the co-founder of One Love TO joins us now. Nice to have you here at TVO.
Thanks for having me.
You notice the TVO, there's a T at the beginning and an O at the end. That's got nothing to do with this city. Just wanted to let you know that.
All right.
We got a bunch of things to talk about today, starting with something called the Remix Project.
Right.
What is that?
Okay, so the Remix Project is basically a youth incubator for arts, business, and culture in the city. We dedicate ourselves to at-risk youth coming from the priority neighborhoods across the GTA. And we work with young people from the age 16 to 24.
Is it in a particular location?
It's located currently in Liberty Village, downtown, which is a fairly safe area where it allows youth from all different neighborhoods that may have certain conflicts based on where they do live, being able to come into a safe space.
That's a pretty swanky area, actually. It's gentrifying and it's really
It is.
getting upscale.
It definitely gets them out of their bubble.
It gets them out of the bubble, got it. How did it start?
The Remix Project started almost 10 years ago with two co-founders, Gavin Shepard and Derek Jankar, who started something called Inner City Visions. And it was in Etobicoke, actually, a small recording studio for kids in the neighborhood that wanted to stay out of trouble, make music, predominantly hip-hop music.
Thus the name Remix.
The Remix
That's an
Project,
audio
exactly,
term.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. You've had some nice testimonials about what you've been doing.
Yeah,
Can we share some of that?
Of course.
Okay, let's do that. Sheldon, why don't we've got a video with some testimonials here. Let's roll those, please.
They have youth leaders that are coming from the same situation, the same poverty-stricken neighborhood I'm coming from, so they overstand the leaps and bounds I have to get past.
They only went through what we went through maybe 3 or 5 years ago, so there's more of a bonding and family, mentality when it comes to here.
Without Remix, so many people wouldn't be where they are now. So many people wouldn't know who they are as far as that goes. I feel like I've discovered myself by coming here.
It made me feel better about myself, because if you're gonna feel good coming to a place where you know you're welcome, and when you know you're gone, you're being missed. So it makes me feel real nice. It boosts my confidence in myself and personal feelings and whatnot.
So it's really refreshing to just have real people that believed anything is possible and lived their life. It impacts you in a way that's kind of indescribable.
I can't think of anything else that works like this. It's like heaven here. Honestly, for a teenager, it's like heaven.
I'm like the poster child for it. Basically, I'm the poster child. If they didn't have Remix, I wouldn't be recording no music. Probably be in jail right now, not even standing in front of the camera.
That's some pretty heavy stuff. Okay, two things. Number one, the first participant was working on something called the Sinatra Remix Project. I need to see that very soon, very urgently.
All right.
So we need to work on that after this interview's
we can
over.
work on that.
Because that's going to be something. Number two, this obviously does a lot for the people who participate in it. How about for the people who run it? What do they get out of it?
It's one of those special things where it's give and take. It's very reciprocal in the way that energy is given. So we might be in there as the youth leaders and the creative arts, business, and music deans, giving our energy, giving our knowledge and our experience. But the thing is, the energy that those kids give back to us, it helps us further ourselves in our careers. It helps us understand where youth culture is coming from and even moving to. It really allows us to have that kind of open dialogue, and that's rare with young people.
What's your career, Brian?
I've got a lot of hats, maybe not on today, but between the Remix Project, teaching at Humber College as well, running One Love TO, and a few other things along the way.
Okay, you mentioned One Love TO. What is that?
Okay, so One Love TO is actually a very grassroots-oriented movement. It started in 2007 by fluke almost, with the Mayor Miller at the time.
David Miller.
Yeah, David Miller coming to us at the Remix Project to help the City of Toronto integrate themselves into Caribana at the time, which is now Toronto Caribbean Carnival. But we created One Love TO for the City of Toronto, and we actually created a float. We went down the parade route and had 1 million people screaming and loving what we were doing with the t-shirts, the logo. And that just kind of snowballed into an idea of, okay, well, we've got something here. It's something to be proud of our city. Before that, it was not cool to be from Toronto. People would wear New York Yankee hats. People would fake accents. People would tell people they're not from the area they are. And at that moment, we realized, hey, there's about to be a shift. And we were fortunate enough to be at the forefront of that.
Is this a bit like I love New York or I heart New York?
Yeah, of
that
course.
Kind of thing?
The kind of inspiration would definitely come from that, but I think the thing that separates us is the fact that the idea of one love, it's inclusive. A lot different than the personal I.
Bit of a branding exercise then?
Yeah, definitely.
We're seeing some of it here. I mean, of course, the timing with the Blue Jays works well.
Oh, it was incredible. We got to work and do a collaboration with the Blue Jays this year with a T-shirt design that ended up in the stadium for 15,000 fans.
It's kind of taken off, hasn't it?
Oh, it's incredible.
Now, why do you think people before would have been either shy or embarrassed or thought it was not cool to admit that they were from Toronto?
I think a lot of it just dealt with our mentality. We didn't have a lot of people coming from a cultural standpoint or subculture that were on the forefront of success. So before that, it was kind of the little brother or little sister syndrome to a New York, you know, where culture was everywhere, from art to music. You could see it on TV, you could read about it in a magazine. You would go there and travel. Toronto wasn't that destination and wasn't known for having that cool factor. Even though we might have known it existed, it just was never articulated.
Do you think there's one, for lack of a better expression, cultural ambassador from this city who gets more credit than you know where I'm going with this,
For sure,
right?
for sure.
Who's the man?
Yeah, of course, Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. The spotlight that he helped shine on the city is incredible. And it definitely started a wave of opportunities for young people and talented individuals to even bring more attention to our city.
I will acknowledge I am more of the Sinatra generation than the Drake generation. So maybe you can help me understand, because I've seen him parodied on Saturday Night Live, and the guy can't dance, right?
Well, he can dance, but people had some good fun with his Hotline Bling video.
Okay, so what is it about Drake that makes him so fabulous?
Well, here's the thing. You've got a young kid coming up in the city that is mixed to begin with, which is an incredible thing because Toronto is everything in the world. Every culture you can imagine is mixed up into our city. You've got a Jewish kid who's half white, half black. He's got an incredible voice in terms of singing, but yet he raps. He's bringing everything to the table with his experiences of growing up in the city. And up until his point, we only had a few ambassadors before him that brought their story to the table, like a Cardinal, for example. So I think he has the relatable factor, and he's so proud to be from here. He's willing to bring people along on his ride, and it's helped everyone in the city, even our Raptors.
Well, I was just going to say, the Raptors, I mean, they kind of hired him, didn't they?
Yeah, he's their actual, I think, cultural and team ambassador.
Where are you from?
Originally?
Yeah.
London, Ontario, believe it or not.
You're from London.
Yeah.
How'd you get to Toronto?
You know what? London, I outgrew my zone at a young age, and I knew this is the city for me. I'd come here pretty much every year, every summer since I was a kid. And I moved here when I was 19. Didn't know one person, very intimidated.
Moved here to do what?
I went here to go to school and then ideally live. And fortunately, I've been here for 16 years.
Went to post-secondary?
Yeah, I went to Humber College.
Went to Humber, and now you're teaching at Humber?
Yeah, I teach at Humber.
Oh, that's kind of sweet. Okay, when you moved to Toronto, which was what year?
2000.
2000, right, 15 years ago. Yeah. Was Toronto cool back then?
For me it was, but definitely not on the global scale. Yeah, definitely not.
But it is now?
It is, yes.
In part because of Drake. We know it's not because of the Leafs. Maybe a bit because of the Blue Jays.
In recent years,
in certainly this last couple of months of last season.
Yeah.
What else do you think has put Toronto on the map in a way that it hasn't been there before?
I think, once again, that spotlight that Drake and the idea of OVO brought to the table has allowed people to be...
What's OVO?
OVO, October's Very Own. So that's basically the...
Can you tell I'm not cool?
Yeah.
I mean, I just fessed up there in front of everybody.
It's all right.
Because I don't know what OVO was.
We won't let it all out, but OVO is basically the movement behind Drake. So it's 40, Noah Shabib, who's his producer and longtime friend. It's Oliver, it's Future the Prince, who's actually a graduate of the Remix Project, who's his DJ and manager. It's an entire group of people now in the city that represent for Toronto. So OVO's kind of become this symbol and similar to One Love TO, an idea of hometown pride and success. And I think the spotlight that's been on our city has allowed people from all over the world to now be interested. What's going on in Toronto? Why is so much great music coming out? Why do all these people look different? Why are their slang a certain way? We have a lot to offer, and just people never knew it was up here.
Do you, and I'm not pushing the political angle here if it's not there, but I wonder if you hear from young people today whether they think it's cool that we got a 43-year-old prime minister. Do you hear any of that yet?
Definitely. I think in the ability of people to talk about the vote and how many young people were out there voting, I think that made a statement. And I also think the fact that Justin's now, I guess, being referred to as a very handsome young person in the political sphere, you know, you've got people all over the world now saying, hey, Canada's doing something a little different. He's probably one of the youngest in his realm.
I think he just turned 44, actually.
Yeah.
I don't normally ask guests to disrobe on the program, and I'm not going to ask you to completely disrobe,
Right.
but you are featuring something today that is new and uniquely us.
Yeah, very exclusive to the city of Toronto.
You want to take a shoe off anyway?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's try the shoe. Who makes these shoes?
So Nike put out this shoe. It's actually the first ever Air Max 1 released and dedicated to our city. So we've got things like the CN Tower that's inside.
Let's just make sure we can see that. Tilt it to this camera,
Sorry.
right? Camera 1 there with the light on. Okay, yeah, we can see the CN Tower inside
Yes.
there now. Okay.
So we've got things like the CN Tower. We've got an ode to the original Toronto Maple Leaf, just obviously red to represent Canada. Simple things like the whiteout Air Max bubble. It's fully insulated, so it's a winterized shoe for Canada. Little things like that, and even if I can show you the tongue.
Yeah, flip it around so it's not upside down.
Actually, yeah, let me show
There
you
we
it
go.
that way.
Okay, what does that say?
It's even got the 6 in the tongue.
Now explain for those who don't know, what's the 6?
So the 6 is another word that represents our city, Toronto.
And it's from the area codes, because we're the 416.
Yeah,
or
there's
the
a lot of
647.
speculation. It could be from the boroughs. It's open to interpretation, but it's definitely been the rebrand of the city in terms of the name.
Okay, I mean, I would expect that these shoes would sell in Toronto.
Yes.
Do they have plans to sort of market them in the States or
That's
around
a
the
good
world?
question. I'm not sure. They did a first release in December, and we'll see what they do moving forward.
Okay. One last question, Brian. This is a fairly serious current affairs offering, this program.
Yeah.
We're not much music here. We're TVO.
Yeah.
So are we ruining the cool of Toronto by discussing it on a program like this?
No, I don't think so at all. I think this type of dialogue is great for the people that maybe don't know or aren't involved or participating in the everyday culture and subculture that exists. So for you guys to be doing something like this, I think it's a good thing for the rest of the city.
Rock on, dude.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Brian Brock, One Love TO and the Remix Project. Good of you to visit us at
Thanks
TVO
again.
tonight.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.